In the beginning, there was only one universe, the first firmament, perfect but alone. It decided to create life, celestial servants, while some of them industriously worshipped it, seeking its approval whenever they created life on their own, which prompted the first firmament to name them aspirants. Others, multicolored rebels, who were as many as the stars themselves, wanted their own creations to evolve, for the universe to grow, change, and die. That was seen by the first firmament as madness and sacrilege. War eventually broke out between the multicolored rebels and the aspirants for the dominion of all existence. The war greatly diminished both groups, but the aspirants desperately resorted to powerful weapons to get rid of their opponents, including the aspirants' god-killer armor, that they used to win the final battle of the war. After the final battle of the Celestial War, the aspirants built their fleets and immediately entered a civil war, which gave the Celestials time to recover and crush their opponents. The war ended by shattering the first firmament into pieces. As the rebels detonated their weapons, hundreds of new universes split off from it. The first firmament fled along with the remaining aspirants, and the new universes formed a collective entity, the second cosmos and the first multiverse. The second cosmos was colonized by the rebels. Those Celestials evolved their own servitors, who they came to call Omegas, in opposition to the first firmament, who was the Alpha. Null, the god of the symbiotes, was angered by their war and the creation of the multiverse, so he created a sort of living darkness called the All-Black, and used it to decapitate a Celestial. The Guardians of the Galaxy's base of operations nowhere is the severed head of that Celestial. In opposition to the Celestials' apparent agenda were the Watchers. Having sworn an oath of non-interference in species younger than themselves, the Watchers found the Celestials' genetic engineering of species to be the antithesis of what they believed. Thus the Watchers and Celestials were in pointless conflict for billions of years, as the Watchers could do nothing. 4 billion years ago, a Celestial referred to as the Progenitor crashed into Earth after it was infected by the Horde. The Progenitor died a sad, lonely death, and its body was buried within the Earth, below the North Pole. The Celestial's diseased body fluid seeped into the Earth and percolated through the planet's primeval surface, forever altering the Earth's evolutionary trajectory. 1 million years ago, a Celestial named Zagreb, the Aspirant, came to Earth in search of the Progenitor. The Fallen found the Progenitor and became inflicted with the Horde. However, the Horde mutated him into a rabid Dark Celestial, the first of its kind. The Dark Celestials are a breed of Celestials infected and mutated by the Horde into rabid creatures. The loss of the 2 Celestials drew the attention of the rest of the Celestials, and the first host came to Earth. Before arriving on Earth, the final host infected and killed every Celestial in existence, and their bodies were hurled to Earth to herald their arrival. The Dark Celestials' arrival additionally resulted in the emergence of insects from the Horde that had laid dormant deep underneath the Earth's surface. The Horde took the bodies of the Celestials they had infected and felled, creating zombie versions of them. But the Horde was eventually laid dormant, and the zombie Celestials revived. They combined their forces, restraining the Dark Celestials, and teleported them away from Earth. It has been stated that the first host of Celestials genetically engineered chosen members of the early human population to create the Eternals, the evil Deviants, the Exterminators who were supposed to bring death and destruction as a form of balance but eventually betrayed their creators, and they developed the X gene that would eventually give rise to the mutants, forming the X-Men. However, the genetic modifications of the inhabitants of the Earth that would give rise to superpowered beings didn't happen because of the first host, but were instead a result of the progenitor's death. The Celestials reproduce by planting a fragment of their essence in a planet, which matures into a new Celestial over the course of eons. As a form of protection of that growing Celestial, its parents would manipulate the DNA of the planet's dominant life form to gain super abilities and unknowingly act as antibodies, protecting the planet until the Celestial is born. The cosmic entity Galactus opposes them, devouring planets that incubate celestial eggs to prevent the Celestials from overpopulating the universe. In the MCU, Star-Lord's father, Ego the Living Planet, is also a Celestial. The Celestials' first attempt to create new life yielded the Deviants, unstable creatures who were born in new and more horrifying forms with each generation, making them naturally evil. In order to counteract these creatures, the Celestials created the Eternals, godlike beings who were immortal and had fantastic powers. They would act as the shepherds of humanity, as well as its defenders, against the Deviants and other invaders, while baseline humanity went through the Celestials' natural evolutionary course to gain superpowers. In the following years, the Eternals grew disinterested in humanity and became reclusive, thereby allowing the Deviants to take control of the Earth. The only known being with the Deviant syndrome was the Eternal Thanos, which is why he's a villain. Are you guys excited for the release of the MCU's Eternals, so we can learn about the Celestials, Eternals, and Deviants? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you'll never miss another video. Thanks for watching, and remember that with great power comes great responsibility.